Everybody's doing well?
Yes.
Yes,
Awesome.
we're Thursday.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm so excited. STS asked me to come on board, and when I saw the roster, I started getting butterflies and getting nervous. I started doing my homework, and I was really excited about tonight. I am just looking forward to everything that you all are going to share. That I know your stories are amazing, and so I look forward to us collectively empowering the audience tonight. So I am Kristen Webb. I am going to be your moderator this evening for Powered by STS Women Empowerment Panel. And I have some dynamic ladies with me tonight. Some you may already know, some will be reintroduced, some will be introduced for the first time, but you will leave wanting to know more about each and every one of them. So today we're going to spend just a little short time together. We're going to simply chat, have some girl talk, have a very fluid conversation around topics about self-care, overcoming adversity, and succeeding at all costs. Each of you were selected, I know, by STS because they believe that you are becoming masters or are masters at each of one of those areas, right? Every day, growing and learning more about self-care and overcoming adversity and succeeding at all costs. And so I'm looking forward to your perspectives tonight and just helping us all grow. You all are going to empower us. And so real quickly, what is empowerment? I think everyone has a different definition, right? Depending on what book, what dictionary, what conversation or circle you're in, empowerment means something different for everyone. But for me, I want to say, in short, it's the process of authority or power being given to someone to do something. And I don't know if y'all pay attention to the two key words in there, but for me, it's authority, which is a very, very strong word, as well as power. And so basically, you all are going to share your personal stories and insight tonight, leaving us feeling more powerful and being able to speak to our authority as women to continue our own personal paths of excellence, making excellence the norm, as STS would say. So real quickly, let's start with some introductions. We have on our panel today, audience, we have four dynamic women, as I mentioned: Andrea Willis with Mercedes-Benz Financial Services, Jerica Phillips with Shelby County Schools, go SCS, Terica Bell with Fabulous Beauty Lounge, and we all look fabulous tonight. We're gonna probably maybe get some more tips from Miss Bell tonight, and then Wendy Neptune with International Paper. So these women, they're women to watch. They are women with voices that greatly influence their families and their communities, and women that will continue to positively influence our future. And so that's why I'm really excited tonight. First up, let's get more acquainted with you ladies. So if we could do maybe 1 to 2 minutes each, whoever wants to jump in, there's no rhyme or reason. Just tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background and whatever you want to share with the audience tonight.
I'll go. My name is Andrea Willis. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, and grew up in Detroit. I am married for 2 years. I work at Mercedes-Benz Financial Services. I've been in the financial industry for pretty young. I graduated from Hampton University. So I love HBCU. Woo woo. And then a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So that's why I wore my pink and pearls. And I'm responsible for, I'm a regional dealer credit manager, and I'm responsible, that's a long title, but basically I'm responsible for financing commercial vehicles, which means trucks. So I'm actually in the trucking industry. So responsible for a $2 billion portfolio. And I'm one of the first African Americans to have this role that I'm currently held. And I'm very passionate about financial literacy. Also, I'm passionate about helping others and women empowerment. And then also, I'm very passionate of just uplifting African Americans in our community and how we can help each other and build wealth.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. That portfolio. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I love to see women in typically male-dominated arenas. So when you talk about the trucking industry, I can appreciate that. Absolutely, absolutely. Who's next?
I'll go next. So I'm Wendy Neptune. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, and I'm currently located in Pennsylvania. So a little bit about myself. I am a single mom to a 4-year-old son. He is very fearless and handsome. He is my world. So he gave me purpose in life. And currently right now, well, I graduated from Florida A&M with my bachelor's in accounting and my MBA. Then later was recruited by International Paper in Memphis, Tennessee, relocated there and had multiple finance positions within the company. And right now I am a complex controller managing 2 manufacturing facilities in Pennsylvania. And I'm also a certified life coach that helps individuals with their personal finances. I'm also too very interested and passionate about helping others with their financial literacy and personal finances as far as getting out of debt and building equity and things of those nature. So, and I'm glad to be here today.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Who's next? Who wants to go?
Jericho or Terica? Which one? You want to go, Jericho?
Jericho or
Sure,
Terica?
sure. So I'm Jerica Phillips. You all may know my voice and my face from television. Many years here in Memphis. Came right out of college and interned and stayed with WMC TV for 11 years. I am a graduate of University of Tennessee, Knoxville, a soror. I saw Andrea talking about the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Really excited to be with you ladies tonight. I became a young mom, even headed off to college. Took my baby girl with me. She was still an infant. And I am now a mother of 4. And so it is very interesting to balance life and the career that I'm now in with Shelby County Schools. So last year I transitioned over. There was a brand new superintendent who went into office, and he gave me a call and asked how I could support telling the story and shaping the narrative for Shelby County Schools. Far too often people have had a deficit mindset when it comes to urban education. And so just really honored to now serve as a spokesperson for Shelby County Schools and telling the amazing things. I call myself the chief cheerleader rather than the chief of communications, because it's really about sharing and making sure that people are aware of the amazing talents and treasures that we have at each of our schools and our educators. So I'm now over in the academic and education side of life, but my background is in communication, always had a love for journalism and talking, had the gift of gab as a little girl. And so went on to get a communications and broadcast journalism degree. And so that is what led me over to the communications department. We're a small PR firm, about 30 of us over in the Department of Communications and Broadcast Services. So again, really excited about being with you ladies tonight. It's definitely a balance of life and family and career. So looking forward to hearing more about your journeys and that word empowerment, right? So I'll turn it over to Terica.
Awesome.
Hey y'all, I'm Terica Bell, and I was born and raised right here in Memphis, Frazier to be exact. I have 2 small babies, Peyton and Owen, a boy and a girl. I am a graduate of University of Memphis, 2015. I'm a small business owner. I opened my hair salon in 2015, and I'm excited to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you to all of you for your introductions. Um, I hope everybody else is feeling the way I'm feeling. Like I'm ready to jump into this. Just hearing your backgrounds, I hear rumblings of what we're gonna get from this, and I'm excited. So, to our audience, with that, be sure that you all get in on the conversation. Use the chat box. What do they do? Emojis. Use your emojis, whatever it is you want to do to engage with us, give us feedback, because we want to hear from you through this process as well, because not only will we be offering information, you all can help us grow as well. So with that, I heard, Jerica, you spoke a lot about self-care. Like I heard that come up, that balance. I heard you say balance several times. And so I thought it'd be good to start with that aspect of women empowerment and talking about the most important person in our lives, which is ourselves, right? And as women, a lot of times we don't think about ourselves first. You know, as mothers or family members or business owners, we're constantly being pulled from every direction. And it's a balancing act. And I don't know if there's really a balance out there, but we make every effort to do it. So we're multidimensional. We play those various roles. And then when you add a layer of something like COVID on top of it, what is self-care? Is that still a thing? you know? So I just wanted to hear from you all tonight. Share with us, how do you define self-care? And what are some suggestions on creating and maintaining it? Because I think that's the bigger piece, creating it, but then how do you maintain it? Share with us, just jump right in.
Well, Kristen, I would definitely jump right in because, as you said, I think the first thing on my mind when I wake up is, my to-do list. What do I need to figure out what can get done and what's going to be put to the side? Because I know something's not going to get finalized that day. But I mean, I want to just be real, real. I mean, look, my nails right now, when we talk about self-care, I cannot make it to the nail shop most times these days, especially during the pandemic, but with just so much volume of work. I think we put ourselves to the side first, and I'm okay with that, because even when you talked about who's the most important person, I thought immediately to myself, not me. I wake up with service on my mind. Who do I need to serve? I need to get the kids ready for school. I need to make sure that I'm looking at my emails and being responsive. So I think that it behooves us to certainly prioritize ourselves in a better way as mothers, as women, as wives, as leaders. I know that I don't have it all together. And I think that's the transparency that I enjoy sharing with other young moms or with other women, that we don't have to have it all. I mean, I know that saying is, you basically want to have it all as a career mom or a career woman, but it's okay, to let some things, go to the side and to take each day for what it is, to enjoy those moments with your family, with your children, those special times and memories, and prioritize as best you can what you need to get done first, because there are always going to be competing priorities. And the volume of work just doesn't stop. It won't ever stop. And we will be replaced if we go on, tomorrow. So again, I would just share that with any of our listeners. And also, I'm sure that my fellow panelists would agree that I don't think that we can ever get it all done, but we just have to find the time for ourselves at some point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I definitely agree. So I'll jump in. So one thing that I do to try to help, with the work-life balance, if there's a such thing. But I remember reading a book called The Millionaire Mindset. And one line that really resonated with me was, rich people think about when they have decisions to make as far as, can I spend time with my child? Or do I need to go work and clock in, an extra 2 or 3 hours to get a task done? But how can you do both? Rich people think, hey, can I do both? I shouldn't have to pick one or the other. Poor people think I have to pick one and neglect the other. And so I live my life always problem solving. I mean, as a mom, right? You're always prioritizing. You're always, hey, what do I need to do next? And so for me, I love to work out, right? To me, health is wealth. I take that very seriously. And as a mother, especially to a young child, my son is 4. It's not like I can go to the gym with him, how single individual or individual who doesn't have any kids can just go to the gym. So what I do is I bring my child along. I stay in the woods kind of area. They have a fitness trail. So I take my son, which means that I'm spending time with him and we're working out and he's seeing the importance of actually working out. So I try to think about those things. I have an accountability partner. I felt like, lately I've been very busy at work. So I called one of my friends up and I told her, I know you wanted to work out. So literally we set up time, 3-4 times a week. Now we wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning while my son is still sleeping and we work out together. We're on FaceTime and we're working out together. So there's always those times where, you can find to actually take care of yourself. Or even, during COVID, you want to get the pedicure and manicures, try doing it yourself. Pick up another, hobby, so you can still look cute and look fly and feel good about yourself. I do my hair myself. As you can see, my hair is braided. I do that myself.
Wow.
So I'm very resourceful as a single mother. So it wasn't quite hard during COVID for me because I did a lot myself. I feel like I was in quarantine for all these years as a single mom, always trying to figure out what's the best thing for me to do to still get all of my priorities in order and accomplished.
I just have a few things to add. I think I don't like the word self-care.
Okay.
Just because it just puts so much pressure, and I think that's the new buzzword. Oh, self-care, self-care. You see somebody laid up with cucumbers on their eyes, and so I don't really have. So for me, self-care is really not comparing yourself to what you have to do, and really appreciate every minute that you have. And if your self-care is something as simple as it just scrolling on social media or whatever that is, that's your self-care and define, and that gives you that time to unload and download. And so you have to really define those priorities as women, because I think self-care and you need to have it all, that kind of even puts more anxiety on people, because then I'm bugging, like, I don't have time for self-care. So I'm like, what is this self-care thing? So I think really, you really need to define truly to yourself what self-care is as a woman, and then you're able to really enjoy and relax. I mean, for me, working out is something I need to do. I try to do it. And then at first, when you have aggressive goals, like I need to work out, and then I need to work out all these days, I'm like, hey, if I can do 30 minutes, that's good. I'm winning. So I think you really need to, as just busy professionals, COVID, just appreciate each of our wins and self-care. So
Love it.
For me, I've always, being a young business owner, I opened my salon when I was 23. So being a young business owner, I've always struggled with self-care. I feel like over the past about 5.5 years that I've opened my salon, since the pandemic, since the pandemic, I'm sorry, since the pandemic came about, before the pandemic, I'm sorry, I didn't know anything about, self-care or resting. Y'all know how women are with their hair, like they'll run you down 8 days a week. There's only 7 days in a week, 8 days a week. They want to get their hair done. So I always made myself available to my clients until, we were forced to close down. So once the salons closed down, I'm just laying at home, watching TV, spending time with my friends, spending time with my kids. And I'm like, I feel like that, I've been missing out over the past, 5.5 years, because I've been on grind and go mode, making sure that my salon is successful, making sure that, I'm protecting my investment and all that stuff. So here recently, I'm just like, I'm gonna have to unplug. So I'll text my clients and let them know, like, I'm only working 4 days a week. A lot of them don't like that. So me sitting at home and just doing nothing, whether I'm, like you said, scrolling on Instagram, or, going to spend time with my friends, or just laying on the couch watching TV. So I've literally, just started, taking on the responsibility of, I need to take some time for me, because, I feel myself getting burnt out. So I think
Sounds like those clients don't even want you to be on the panel tonight.
No.
They're looking for you now.
Look, it's Thursday, so you already know they're like,
Oh,
I can't my hair
The
done.
phone is blowing up.
what time the panel discussion? Can you squeeze me in?
You're gonna be on. I'm like, I'm gonna be on the panel. I'm not gonna be able to do y'all here. So it's really hard, but I had to just let my clients know, they're so used to me always being available. So I'm like, I need some time for myself. So I'm gonna do that.
Awesome. So the theme I got out of it, it really kind of speaks to what you said, Miss Willis. Self-care looks different for everybody, and you have to make it make sense for you. But it's important to do. It's important for whatever that looks like for you. It's necessitated. That's how we keep our sanity and keep our cup from running over, and being able to pour into other people because we have enough to give. So I really appreciate that insight. I took some notes and came up with some things I want to do for myself too. And I'm gonna stop being so hard on myself about finding that self-care too. So I thought that was a really good point. So we're going to kind of build a little bit. We talk about the you. We focused on the individual first, the individual woman, who she is, and what is, taking care of herself look. But what about adversity as, as we try to go after our careers, or, work with our families and help them to be at their highest potential, or be in our communities to help them grow and create sustainability? Challenges and adversity is going to happen. It's the inevitable. Change is the inevitable, but definitely these, adversity and having challenges will always exist. Um, and my climb today, I don't know about you all, but my climb to my present has presented a plethora. I couldn't even probably make a full list of all of the adversity I've encountered. And it can come from every direction. It can be self-imposed. It can come from external entities. For me, it was being a single parent, just calling out one, or going to college and trying to figure out myself and run into a lot of those hiccups, or even, having a voice in a male dominated industry. Those are just some examples that I think of when I think about adversity and really still becoming who I want to become and being the greatest version. So for you, if you had to describe some of your adversities, what have they been? But how have you been able to stay on track? Even if you got off track for a minute, how did you get back on track? How did you overcome those adversities? We love to hear that. Yeah, whoever wants to go first.
So I'll go ahead and go. So one of my adversities that's challenging in my career is that I relocate quite a bit. So I've been with International Paper since I graduated, which has been 6 years now, and I stayed in 4 different places within 6 years, with a 4-year-old. So he literally stayed in 4 different places. I started in Memphis, went to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, then relocated to Auburn, Maine, and then now I'm in PA. So that's been a lot. And with all of those locations that I relocated, I didn't have any family or friends at any of these locations. And so it's challenging, and especially with me being family oriented, being away from family, which all my family's back in Florida or in Miami. It's been very challenging. So, what I have done to try to, still have that still being family oriented and traveling with my son is thinking about the pros and cons when it comes to everything. With me relocating with an infant, that could be challenging on a child to some individuals. But I have seen how much he have grown just by being exposed and doing different things. I mean, in Maine, he went dog sledding. We're in PA. He fed, deers that we have here. Like, it's just amazing to see the growth and how he's able to adapt. And I think as human beings, that is very, very important. When it comes to my family, spending time, obviously I'm, states and states away from my family. So it's hard to constantly travel back home for events. And so what I do, thanks, to technology, is that my family, they understand my purpose. They understand that I am career driven. And so when we have events and I'm not there and I'm not physically able to be there, they'll FaceTime me. Literally, I'm there on FaceTime for the whole entire event. And I think I just appreciate that my family is willing to do so in order for me to still pursue my career.
Awesome. Who's next? Anybody?
I'll go. There's a lot of adversities, but few adversities that I encounter was just being age and being a young professional, a young leader. That you had to really. I had a lot of my team was a lot older than me, so that was like a lot of interesting dynamics, and so it even questioned me. Why did I get picked a lot of time to even be a leader when everyone is my senior, and they in some cases they could have been my parent. So that was like dealing with that was a lot of adversity, and how I overcome that situation is really understanding my value. When even though everybody was older than me, you have to really respect them too, and respect from a leadership perspective. Learn, and then it's okay that you're going to make mistakes. But I think the biggest thing that was for me is really having that confidence. So when you're faced with adversity, you kind of you feel down, you feel you're struggling, and so to get over that adversity is really saying, look, okay, you messed up, or it didn't go out as planned, or maybe the people that I was leading did know more than me. In some cases they did. And so you really have to overcome your adversities by really just having confidence, and it will just build over and over from those situations. So I think, I mean, that's one thing that I still, depending on the situation, the work dynamics, is really building those confidence and those different dynamics, because I mean, it's a lot going on, especially with COVID right now. That's a big adversity, and it also puts a lot of strain on family relationships. I mean, especially having like a bigger family or used to being together, it puts a whole different dynamics. Like, where have you been? Or, you know, oh, you went out to dinner, that's 2 people. Oh, that's too much. So that's, you know, even socially, there's a lot of different just day-to-day adversities that we're not used to from a social perspective. So I think every day we're dealing with a lot of different like little adversities on a social perspective, and really just kind of, especially with COVID right now, is right now with my team, you got to respect people where they are. Some people are, you know, and I think we're in this kind of judgment mode. Like, I'm not to change topics, but you know, if one thing is, you know, if someone goes out to eat and, you know, oh wow, my grandma's like, where are you? I'm like, I can't even say I went out to dinner, because they're like, oh, you go, man, you know, that's terrible. So I think for me, just being like right now in COVID, I think COVID is a major big adversity in terms of all the different dynamics, and you have to be confident with yourself. You have to stay spiritually grounded as well, for me, to really hone on your adversities, and just building up your confidence for those situations. Because otherwise, if you don't, those things can really internalize. As women, we internalize a lot of stuff and think everything is all good. And then mentally, you're not there. So I think, you know, just really take time, and just really, it goes all of this is aligned, like self-care, being mentally strong, having the confidence. And that's how I'm able to deal with adversities. But I mean, it's a struggle. I mean, sometimes you're like, you're feeling blah. You're like, I'm not feeling this. But, you know, you really just have to kind of push through.
Right. I would love to just piggyback really quickly on Andrea, because I do think we share some similar journeys and pathways as young leaders. And having a team of 30 with Shelby County Schools, and many of them being veterans, and me coming in and they're saying, well, what does she know? You know, you definitely have to know your value, know your strengths, be confident in who you are as a leader. And then people will embrace when they see your ethics, and you know, they understand I'm really willing to work just as hard as they are. And I always listen. I try to listen and make sure that they understand that I don't have all the answers. We are no better than our weakest link. We are a team. And so just thinking about those adversities that she talked about as a young leader, certainly I think that that's just a day-to-day challenge in this pandemic. Because I don't care how long you've been a leader or a business owner, everybody's going through this new, you know, normal, this unprecedented time during the pandemic. So we have to show each other grace. We should have to show ourselves grace, because we don't have all the answers. And this is exactly what this pandemic has shown us. But also, I would just say that having courage just day to day, I think I've always been really courageous and not afraid to face anything. And I think, Kristen, you said it, like sometimes they're self-imposed, you know, adversity and challenges. I mean, being a young mom, I kind of had to go through that because I put myself in that situation. But at the end of the day, I had the courage to take responsibility and, you know, take my daughter to college with me if that was what it took, you know. And I heard Wendy talking about moving with her son and doing whatever it took. And I think as women, we are so courageous and don't even realize it. But every single day we get up with a problem or solution-based mindset. It's just in us. We wake up figuring out, okay, how we're going to solve the problem. And so I think just having that attitude, and if you can take on that attitude rather than waking up again with that deficit, oh my gosh, everything's wrong, I'm not going to make it through the day type of attitude. You wake up knowing that things are going to go wrong, but you're just ready, you know, to face whatever challenges come your way. And that's how we get through it every single day.
Breathe. That theme of confidence. Yeah. Go ahead, Terica.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pick in. So I think one of the things that I have struggled with is asking for help and delegating tasks. As a business owner, I want my business to grow. I want to do so much more, and I think I have to understand that I need help, and it's okay to ask people for help. I'm just so used to doing everything on my own. So I'm just trying to get to the point to where I'm like, okay, I gotta delegate tasks. I got to ask somebody else to help. Like I really need you to pitch in and help me reach my goals. And I know there are people who, waiting and really want to do that. I just gotta put my pride aside and say, look, I just need your help. So that's something that I'm struggling with, that I'm trying to overcome.
I'm with you. I definitely have had to learn. My daughter's 13 now, so it's taken me approximately 13 years to learn how to just reach out, and say, I need help, and it's okay. But I think the main theme I heard in all of us is confidence, because even getting to the point where we're willing to be vulnerable and ask for help has a lot to do with us being more confident and understanding ourselves and understanding values and how we do need to access more resources or delegate, so that we can get over those challenges that are presenting themselves. I heard resourcefulness. I heard support. I think that's really important, being able to identify the support that you have, and then being willing to ask for the support. So those are all really, really great pieces of information on being able to overcome adversity. Um, as we go into the next question, I know I just mentioned, or some of you all even mentioned, being resourceful. Let's talk about success, okay? And it looks different to everybody, but let's talk about success. What has worked for you? Where you are now, myself and others that I know that are watching, or people that are in the community or close to you, they look at you and they admire you and they say, man, I want to get there. Well, how can I get there? I want to be like Andrea. I want to be like Jerica, Tarek, and Wendy. How do I get like that? How do I get to that level? We talked about, we know we didn't get here easily. We got over those adversities, but what else? What does success look like for you, and how did you get there? If you had to share and tell somebody, here's a roadmap, here's a path.
So for me, I like to live my life off of 3 C's, which are character. So my character, as far as my morals, values, spirituality, things of that nature, and that's how I interact with others, right? And talk about being resourceful. I look at people's character in order for me to trust them, to build relationship with them when it comes to even mentors and having coaches and mentoring others. And the second C would be clarity, right? If you want to do something, you need to make sure that you're clear on your purpose, on what you're trying to achieve, so that you can make the right decisions. I think, when you know your purpose, it's easy for you to make certain decisions. For example, if I know that I'm trying to save money, right? I'm working on my budget, and I have a friend of mine or an associate that says, hey, let's take this grand trip. It's easy for me to say no because I know what I'm trying to work towards, versus if I didn't have any purpose or any goal, then I would just go because it sounds good, right, at that moment. And so clarity is huge for me. And then the last C is just courage. I think the way I was able to just be successful would be courageous. We talked about that, going to cities where I don't know anyone with a child, right? Going into a new role. Every time I relocated was for a new role. So having the confidence, the courage to step in those roles and still perform has allowed me to get to where I'm at.
I love it.
I
3
would
C's.
totally agree.
I hope y'all are
That's
listening out there. She
excellent.
gave you a
I like
roadmap.
that.
3 C's.
That's all we need. Honestly, she just answered the question.
Yeah,
Honestly.
what she said.
But Wendy, I agree with you 100% on the purpose-driven life, right? And success being you walking in your purpose. I know that we will always admire others for what looks like success for them, but success is truly, as individuals, is you walking in exactly what God has willed for your life, understanding your strengths, understanding what you do that helps others. Again, I truly believe in servant leadership and really everything that we're doing being about helping someone else along the way. I mean, that whole word empowerment, but certainly I just echo and amen everything Wendy said, especially the purpose-driven life that means success.
Love it. Love it.
For me, I think success is exactly what Wendy and Jerica mentioned. And I think also success is preparation. So I think a lot of times of how I'm being successful, everyone's like, oh, you do a presentation or you do different things. People don't see what you're doing behind closed doors in terms of the preparation for a presentation, you know, there's some things that in the meeting dynamics, or if you're learning a certain industry, you may not know all the answers. So I have to spend time in research. By the time you talk to me, it looks like I know everything, but it's only because I sat up all night Googling, looking up all the information. So I think, you know, success is really one aspect of success is having preparation and understanding what your all the dynamics, and then also surrounding yourself with the right people, and also being an effective listener. Along my journey, you know, at one point when I'm not gonna put my age, but at 25, I'm like, oh, I got it going on, you know. And then at that point, you know, I kind of got humble, like, look, youngster, you don't know everything. So I think a part of being successful is be able to receive feedback, you know, because that's really critical. And the feedback, you know, and don't kill what's the saying? Don't kill the messenger, because sometimes the feedback might be from someone that, you know, everybody is not a hater. Okay. Oh, they hating on me, you know, just as a saying. Everyone's not a hater. Sometimes you might need to receive that feedback to be successful and be able to learn and grow. So I think part of being successful in any aspect of your career or profession, entrepreneurs, be able to grow and able to learn from those different experiences. So I think that's one aspect that has made me successful, is able to learn, grow, be an effective listener, and then able to prepare. If you're passionate about certain topics, or if you're, hey, I want to start a business, you need to learn everything about that business.
Right.
Or you want to have certain goals, you want to learn everything, every avenue. So I think a lot of times, you know, a lot of people want to, and I'm just saying a lot of people in general, but they want to be part of the party, but they don't want to be part of the preparation and the planning. So they want to show up, but you have to, you know, before you celebrate at the party, you got to do all the different things to prepare. So I think that's one thing that makes individuals successful. And you see that trend all over. I mean, I think of our current candidate for VP, when she did those debates, you better believe she was thinking of everything that the opponent was going to say. So I think a lot of success is preparation, one aspect of it.
Amen.
That's a word. That's a word. Yes, ma'am.
And I just, my thing. Okay, yes. And I agree with everything you guys said, but y'all didn't touch on this subject. And I think this topic, I think that's very important, is about being selfless. So, you know, it's not all about us. When you commit to say that you're going to do something, you have to make sure that you're not putting yourself last, but you're making sure that you put that first. So that's something that I've done over the past 5 years, is being selfless, making sure that, you know, like I said, I put my clients, my business, my kids, or, you know, whatever it is that's going to help me be successful.
Good deal. Good deal. So kind of getting away from adversity, and well, let me say this first. I think what was really important, if we were listening close, we talked about self-care, we talked about adversity, and we talked about being able to be successful. Those build off of each other. If we can figure out how to put one first and figure out ourselves and understand our values and prepare and, you know, find the support that we need, then we can overcome those challenges, you know, much more easily, and then see those successes. So I really like the way they shaped the panel this evening, because they really gave us building blocks to really pay attention to as we continue down our own personal journeys or our careers. So now I want to ask just a real random question. What do y'all do for fun? Like when you're laying your hair down, you're just with your girls or whatever it is, what's your fun time? What's your, I'm not working, I'm not boss lady right now. What are we doing? What are we doing out there?
I probably could be the most social person on this panel, because I promise I'm going crazy without being able to be out. But I have found opportunities with live music on patios, you know, sitting with a good glass of wine. But I enjoy music, live performances. I'm really sad we can't do concerts right now.
I know.
But there are some great patio experiences here in Memphis during the pandemic. And I'm with Andrea again. She was like, folks be judging you because you out. But certainly, I think you definitely have to find time to free yourself from all the responsibility. And I'm one who's going to find that, because with 4 kids, I would probably go crazy. But certainly I enjoy eating, and I enjoy a good glass of wine, and enjoying some live music.
Awesome, awesome.
I'll go real quick, but I'll preface it. BC is before COVID, AC is after COVID.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, okay, I enjoy traveling, I enjoy concerts, brunching, but that's to me BC before COVID. So after COVID, to be full transparency, I had to kind of redefine what I actually liked because everything was closed down.
Yeah.
So it just really made me think like, hey man, I can't do brunch, I can't go to a concert. What do I like? So I think after COVID, whether it's at AC, I find myself enjoying reading more. I enjoy nature, walking. But if you ask me prior to COVID, I'm not walking. I ain't doing all that. So I think AC is reading more. I've been researching on like YouTube how to do like makeup now, because it was limited time to go to an MUA. So I've been finding out how to put eyelashes on and just different interesting things. So I think after COVID, it's just spending time with family and friends, and it's been a lot of virtual fun, I would say. But I'm a very social person, so I do enjoy a lot of interaction, but that's been the AC world now.
Right. I like that. We've been reinventing ourselves because of COVID.
Yes.
Reinventing ourselves. Yeah.
I'll say for me, it's been a struggle. However, when it comes to activities to do, for me, I always loved the outdoor before COVID. So those were the activities that I were doing. Like, even when I was in Maine, I did a lot of hikes. When I was there, I loved the mountain views. I love just the outdoor workout. So, I mean, even with COVID now, it seemed like there was no real true impact because I was doing all those things prior to COVID. I don't drink, so I wasn't going to bars or lounges or hanging out or doing those things. Plus, it's very difficult because of my son. And like I said, when it comes to, relocating, I have to really trust the individual in order for me to allow them to watch my child. And so it usually take quite a bit to build that relationship with individuals. But once I do, it's usually one person that I truly connect with that wants to help me. When we talk about resources and, letting your hair down and trusting individual, there's always one person that I always meet that wants to help me, with my son, seeing all the positive things that I'm trying to do in my life or in our lives. So for right now, I'm just doing a lot of outdoor activities with my son, which he loves, and I love it too.
Wendy, since you're in PA, do you ski?
Yeah, so in PA, in Maine, I went skiing for the first time, but I
love skiing.
You see, I actually stay on a resort now that has skiing slopes and everything for free. So I will be doing that this winter.
Okay, we'll talk offline.
Yeah.
I tried that last winter, and I was praying that night, thanking God that I did not die, because y'all can do the skiing.
Yeah, they have skiing and snow tubing here where I'm at.
Wow.
Okay.
And in my gated community. So yeah, we can talk.
Okay.
What about you, Terica?
Oh, for me, I'm gonna use what Andrea say after COVID.
AC.
For AC, it's just spending time with my family and friends. Like I said, I keep reiterating over the past couple of years, I've just been on work, grind mode. So now I just enjoy it in my downtime. I just want to spend time with my family, friends. I've been able to date, spend time with my kids and things like that. So I'm just trying to get readjusted to this new normal, new lifestyle.
Right. I'm learning how to, for me, I think what's fun for me is just finding new things to do. Like you all said, thinking about stuff that you never would have thought about, but you're starting to do it, So I'm looking forward to Saturday, which is Halloween. That should be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, definitely reinventing myself and just being more purposeful about letting loose when it's time for me to let loose. So good stuff. So we're getting close to time, but I want just to take an opportunity without me really asking a specific question. what's just a nugget? Because y'all have been dropping nuggets tonight. I got a 6-piece, a 8-piece, a 10-piece. I got a lot of nuggets tonight. But what's that one nugget you want to leave, for us to just walk away with if you want to share something?
I would say when it comes to mentorship, coaches, and sponsorship. Mm-hmm. So and whatever you would like to do, find someone to connect with that can coach you, that can be your mentor. Because honestly, I have had plenty of mentors ever since I was in elementary school. Like, I still keep in contact with my 5th grade teacher, Miss Cicely. I have my even life coaches. I call them my life coaches because they have helped me throughout this whole entire time frame, like the last 10 years. Officer Stewart, Dr. Smith, who I talk to all the time. I have mentors and coaches at work. So every aspect of my life, I have individuals that have helped me along the way, give me very sound advice. So make sure you find someone that you trust, that you can build a genuine relationship with to help you. We have STS here. So if you're a young male or female, please get in contact with STS because they are awesome. Jeremy and Alton will help you get there. So I'm going to plug that in too.
Yeah. Perfect. Awesome. More nuggets.
Okay, I'll have a nugget that during this time and during COVID, just remember that no one can do what you can do. So each of us have different gifts. And so just channel your inner gift as you're going through these challenges times. And also too, as Wendy mentioned, you want to link up with like-minded individuals that can support you and just continue to take each day by day, because there's so many different circumstances that we may not see at the moment, and just take days, each moment, just appreciate it.
All right.
I'll go in. I saw a post and I had shared this on Instagram last week. It said, like, when was the last time, and it was referring to COVID, when was the last time that you actually had time to rest, to reset and reflect? So I would say, I would just use this as, this time being a blessing in disguise. Continue your grind. Don't forget who you are. You can use this time to, perfect your skills, try a new product, and just remember that, hard times, they don't last long.
Awesome.
And I would just add to that, and just as I was thinking about everybody sharing tonight and just being lifelong learners, we all kind of just talked about perfecting our skills and professional development and learning new things during this pandemic. And I loved Wendy just sharing about mentors and definitely getting with like-minded individuals. And I think somebody talked about an accountability partner. You can't do it alone. No one can do this life, this work alone. And reaching out to people when you need it. And again, dreaming new dreams, no matter what age you are and how old you get and where you are in your career. It's never too late to dream new dreams and to imagine yourself in new places. So I would just encourage those who feel like, they've reached their peak or their climax or whatever they've done in life. But as Terica mentioned, this pandemic opens the door for us to seek out new skills and strengths within ourselves. So just encouraging all of us to just be lifelong learners.
Awesome. Very, very amazing nuggets. So production, we have a production team, in case you all didn't know. Our production team says we have questions from the audience. And so one of the questions before we jump off, we want to definitely make sure that we're giving feedback and answering what the audience wants to hear. So question 1, where can we find you all on social media?
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Oh, it's pretty long, but I could put in Andrea Renee on Instagram and on Facebook.
And we'll make sure it's going to go in the chat for sure. We're going to make sure it's in the Facebook chat so people can see that. All right. Jerica, how can we get to you?
My name, Jerica Phillips, on Instagram and on Facebook. And then on Twitter, it's Jerica_Phillips. So.
And I'm Terica Bell on Facebook, and on Instagram, I'm Terica A Bell. 1 R, TERICA BELL.
Good deal. Wendy?
And for me on Facebook is Wendy Neptune, and on Instagram is Miss MS_Neptune.
Awesome, awesome. So next question is, why is the future female? I love that question.
Just look at the panel.
all of this around me.
All of this.
No, so I honestly feel like the future is female because we have a very diverse mindset. I think the fact that we juggle a lot, we see a lot, we think differently than males. And honestly, it takes a diverse team in order for you to impact change. And that's why you should always want a female on your team. And that's why we're going to take over the world.
I love it.
I think the future is female, but the future has always been female. But I think we're just getting more. I mean, behind everything is a strong female from history. So I think right now it's just really highlighting women at this point in time. But I think, the question is that the question is not why, but it's just let's continue.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. That was a great question. Anybody else? Come on.
And I just think it's simple. We go getters, we hustlers. We gonna make it happen.
It's gonna happen. Making excellence. Yeah, absolutely.
Any more questions? Although we don't get enough. I was just going to say, we do support each other. I think that women get a rap of, we're down on each other all the time, but I have amazing female friends. That's one thing that empowers each of us is that we're like, girl, you look good. I love your hair. Or, just that ability, that sisterhood, I think is what makes us great. And we'll continue that into the future.
No, you're so right. I have a best friend of mine, Aisha, who's been down for me. We started school at the same time. And up to right now, it's been like 10 years since we met each other. And when I say she would ride for me, she would do whatever it takes. And she's one of my biggest cheerleader, so we cheer each other on. But you're absolutely right. We do get a rep of not motivating and empowering each other. So
I love it. I love it. Here's one question, and I'm slightly offended because I just turned 22, but the question is, what would you tell to the 21-year-old you? I'm just 22, but what would you all tell your 21-year-old self?
So for me, my 21-year-old self, I will say focus on you. When I say focus on you, as far as your grind, what you're trying to do, sometimes we look for the male figure or look for a boyfriend. And like, Michelle Obama said, like, along your path, you will find your husband once you're focusing on your purpose. And so I would tell myself, just continue focusing on you and your goals, and the right individual, the right male, your husband will come without you even, looking for him. So that would be my advice to my 21-year-old self.
I took that note because I'm still single. I took that note. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm a testimony of that, but that's a different thing.
Okay. Who else? 21-year-old self.
I would tell my 21-year-old self, save some money. That's what I would tell myself at 21, mainly because you had different priorities. And, I went to a historically Black college, Hampton University. So it was about the gear, it was about your hair, it was about all of that. And so now, you don't even have that maturity now, but if you at least, even if you're not saying that you can't be fly, but just save some of it, put some of it aside, you'll be better ahead in the long run. That's what I would tell anyone at 21 or younger, is just have a little bit of financial savvy and understanding where your money's going, and then you'll be set up nicely later on. And again, a lot of people sometimes think that you need to have a lot of money to financially prepare. That's not true. Back in the day, I used to work at TJ Maxx, and my check was gone because all the stuff was getting off the shelf, and then immediately my check was going away because I worked in the retail industry. So just save some money, put a few $5, and you'll be surprised how long that money will go in savings.
I agree with that. Like they say, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep.
Exactly, Wendy.
I would tell my 21-year-old self, I'm not that far removed, but why not now? So you don't have to wait. I'm looking back on it. If I would have started when I was 21, I would have been so much more ahead than I am now. So whatever it is, just go for it.
Love it, love it.
I think I would just say, forget what they have to say. I think, being young, we're so worried about what everybody's going to think and say, and everybody's opinion. Everybody's trying to give, I think we all give young people so much advice, trying to tell them where they need to go and how they need to do it, because we've experienced some things once we've gotten older. I'm in my mid 30s and it's like, oh my gosh, I want to tell, but it's good to listen to wisdom, right? But at the same time, I think we talked about confidence throughout this entire panel. And when you know who you are, and as you're looking to learn more about your identity as a young person, don't just listen and try to, please everybody around you. I mean, I think people choose their majors because of what their parents said or what their friend did or what college their boyfriend went to. I think we just spend so much time as young people trying to please the world and do what we think everybody wants us to do. So certainly forget what the people have to say unless it's wisdom, but follow your own heart and your dreams.
Good deal. So the questions are rolling in, ladies, because you all are really giving them, the meat, and they are ready to eat. So as a female leader, what has been the most significant barrier in your career?
I would say for me, I'm in manufacturing, and like Andrea said, being a young individual, I'm 29. I'll be 30 next month, and it's very difficult being the only Black female or only female in the room with white males. Like that's what I deal with every single day. Even in Maine and PA, it's the same thing, and so it's difficult, but like we talked about, is that confidence and being able to step in a room with individuals who don't look like you and still have the confidence to speak your mind and know what you know, but then also know what you don't know. And so they respect you for that. As of right now, I'll step into the room, they'll come to me. Your character, people pick up on that, like I mentioned. And so since I'm a very genuine person, people see that and they want to interact with you. They respect you regardless of your age, and they realize you can really add value, especially from the technology standpoint, right? I have a lot of older white males, which they're not too equipped when it comes to technology. So they see me as an asset. I would come in, I would help them with Excel or any of the glitches with any of the technologies that they're trying to work on. So they respect me because I respect them. And I have that confidence when I step into a room.
Anyone else?
I was add to that. One thing when you're dealing with when you're the only person or only African American in the room is that the main thing is that sometimes a presentation is not what they expect, and that's the case. It doesn't matter if you know your material. That if you know your information and you know what you're talking about, that's people that surpass what the package looks like, especially in the financial industry. When you're talking about money, okay, if I know their financial position, I'm able to articulate, you'll be surprised that, sometimes it's my insecurity, like, oh, I'm the only Black person in the room. And then I'm in some cases where it wasn't even the case. That wasn't even a big issue sometimes that I have made it have become. So not saying that doesn't exist. Of course it does, but sometimes we bring our own insecurities and make situations worse sometimes in certain dynamics. So if you're confident and you know what you're talking about, sometimes that's not even a big as a factor as you may think it may be. And once they get to know you, you got to be true to yourself. And once individuals in the room get to know you, you'll be pleasantly surprised the way that you can influence others in those situations.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I would just quickly say, just learning to choosing your battles wisely in your career, because I think as young, strong Black women, we're going to challenge everything that's status quo. We're ready to speak up and to speak our minds. But as a young person coming up through even a newsroom where you get assignments and you don't always agree with your boss on, you know, should I cover that story? I don't want to be the face of that. I don't, you know, I don't want the community to think that I agree with this story and how you made me, you know, cover it. And so I fought all the time. Even I worked at Domino's, that was my first job. And I was fighting with the manager about pay, you know, and he ended up giving everybody an increase after I left. But my mom calls me Rosa Parks because I've always challenged the status quo. But at the same time, having such a courageous attitude and bold, you know, voice, you have to choose when and when not to go up against, you know, leadership or whatever. And so I think, again, in our careers, we have to be really wise. This is a time where, you know what, I'm gonna take that offline. I'm not gonna embarrass my boss in front of everybody, even though they're wrong. You know, so again, I would just say that is a challenge, I think, with anyone in a business where they do feel like they have to speak up and be a voice for others. You just have to know when and when not to make that happen.
Right. Looks like we lost Terica. We got a few more questions, and production said we had a little bit longer to go. So I hope you ladies are ready just for a few
But Jerica, I have a question for you, or just based on what you discussed, that sometimes though, like, you know, I have young professionals that come in, you know, they're all about the movement, you know, especially right now with all of the Black Lives Matter and all of those different dynamics in the workplace. And so then they're like, Andrea, when are you going to say something? I'm like, you know, that put different leaders in different dynamics is how far am I going to push the envelope on certain Black related topics. And sometimes you're like, hey, I don't want to be necessarily the spokesperson. So, I mean, it's different challenges. And so that what sparked that conversation. So you have to kind of understand the cultural norms within your organization too. And so you have to be effective in those different dynamics. So, I mean, it's different, it's challenging. So you kind of know your organization, how far you can push your envelope, and sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
As much as you want.
You have to have discernment, right? You can kind of look at people sometimes in meetings. Like you said, you have to get to know your colleagues. And again, show grace. You know, when people just don't know, they don't know. They may just be ignorant to a subject, and then you can, in love, educate them. You know, but it may be offline because you don't want to do it in front of a bunch of people, because people feel a certain way when you know, educate them in a way that seems aggressive. So certainly I have had to try to find that balance, especially being a Black woman in a newsroom, in a media industry, and now with Shelby County Schools, we represent urban education, and people just assume and they stereotype who we are as Shelby County, you know, as a school district. And so again, you get to know people as much as you can, and you understand, okay, this person, they want to know better, they want to do better. And then you have some people who are just like, I don't care, you know, I'm gonna do my thing. So you don't fight those battles every time, because you know that you're not gonna be able to change that person. So it's almost like the serenity prayer, you know, giving me the serenity to understand I can't change everything, but then the courage and the wisdom to change those things that I can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Terica, were you gonna share?
I'm sorry, I had got off. What was the question?
Oh, no, it's okay. Actually, we'll move to the next one, because we got a lot of questions.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, all of a sudden we got a lot of questions. So, but real quickly, who inspired you? Who you represent today? Who inspired you and why? I always like that one.
So, who inspired me is, I would say, my mother, and I would say teachers that I had in the past. So with my mom, I am Haitian descent, so both my parents are from Haiti. I was born here in the U.S., but seeing what my parents have done to put me in this position, you know, my mom didn't have any degree. You know, when she had me, she was young. She got married young, came into the States. And so seeing her working, she used to clean model homes or, you know, hotels room. So she was a maid. And I remember one time I went to go visit her, and she was cleaning her last room. And honestly, just seeing her and what she have done to take care of 4 children on her own, right? And that's without any government assistance, you know, nothing of that nature. And I mean, when I say I never went a day without a roof over my head or food on the table. And just to see how much, my parents had, I mean, now they're divorced. They've been divorced for a couple, a lot of years now, but just knowing that what they did to come into this country to make sure we had, a good education so that we can take the family to the next, the next level. To me, that motivated me so much, so much. And I appreciate my mom, even up to right now with me relocating. I have family members that just don't understand why I'm doing or why I'm away from family, and just, trying to better myself with my son. And my mom told me, Wendy, don't worry about that. Keep going. I will support you. So even right now, as I relocate, all the time, I would send Christian, my son, to my mom, and she would watch him as I'm transitioning into a new role or a new state. So just getting that support and knowing that my mom is on board, and, she wanted to do well despite, how it may look to others, means the world to me.
Love it, love it. Terica, who inspired you and why?
I'm gonna say my mama.
All right, for the mamas. Two for two.
Yes, absolutely. My mom, she raised 5 kids. My mom, I consider her a very successful woman. She didn't go to college or anything, but she always made a way for us. She always did what she had to do. Like I said, she raised 5 kids, whether it's she had to get her an overnight job to make sure that we had everything we needed. She just is the epitome of, a strong Black woman, and everything I do is for her.
Yes. More inspiration? Anyone?
Well, I mean, I was going to say my mom too. So that's 3, and my husband. So those are personal. I mean, you got to have your squad that knows you inside and out, and I think that is my mom. But then, that speaks volumes of who inspires you is the people that are closer to you, see your times when you're down, although they know you. And so I think, my mom, she's inspired me tremendously, professionally, personally. She's always there for me, and love you, mom. And the other thing too is outside of my personal, I have a good professional friend, and one of my good friends, we kind of grew up in the same track, and so she's inspired me in our career. So you can have peers that are, inspires you. Sometimes you. I had a phone call. So you have to have certain levels. You can have peers that inspire you. So I have a good friend. I mean, she's bright, and so sometimes when I have a tricky situation, I'll call her like, "What is this? I don't get it. How do you do this in Excel?" Different things. So I think that is, you can have inspiration from all different aspects of your life.
Very true. Very true.
And I would agree. Of course, I definitely start with my mother, who has given me the courage and inspired me in just getting things done. That's just who she is. I don't care what comes up against her any day. She's like the queen of everything in her trunk, everything in her purse. She got it. No matter where we go, she has it. Like she has that basket of goodies to help you solve the problem, and Superwoman. But to Andrea's point, just someone outside of my personal circle and in the industry as an icon. And I know this may sound cliche, but as a little girl and wanting to go into journalism, Oprah was such an inspiration to me. And we're in a world now where they'll cancel you if they don't like what you say or do. And I understand that may not be the popular answer, but when you look at Oprah's journey and what she's done as a businesswoman, as a Black woman who did not meet the look, what everybody expected of her, it's so inspiring. She graduated from TSU. She was a young news anchor, and I watched her journey, as a talk show host, but then into this huge entrepreneur. And it just inspired me as a little girl, just her authenticity, the bold questions that she asked. Once her name became renowned, anybody and everybody who was somebody was on her show. And she changed the landscape of media as we know it. And so, again, I would just say that Oprah inspired me to share my voice, to be exactly who I am and not feel like I need to be or look like somebody else on TV. But again, just her journey and the way she's given back to our community in so many ways. Again, you may not agree with everything, all her choices, but that is again where I go back and say, you got to live your life for you and not worry about what everybody got to say, as long as you're living in your purpose.
Yep. And we're being real honest. I really was trying to put my Oprah on tonight. So, Jerica, you just I gotta get Oprah mode tonight. I know I didn't come close, but I absolutely agree with you. She is all of that. She is all of that in what you said for sure. Good deal, good deal. So here's one. This one makes us really this is one of those vulnerable questions because we don't really like to tap into it or we don't like to vocalize it. How do you deal with self-doubt and fighting the imposter syndrome and fighting fear? That's a really good one someone asked us. So tap into that space.
I would say for me, when it comes to my fears, is fear, but do it anyways. There has been a lot of times, I mean, like I said, relocating to states where you don't know anyone. Like I said, Maine part had been my biggest move, coming from Miami. So literally I'm going from one, end of the country to the other, where it's not really diverse at all in Maine. And so that was a fear. I'm going to somewhere where I'm extremely far from family. Like it may take, like one or two flights, long flights to get back home if something happened, but I was willing to do so because I think, I always think about the biggest purpose. Like, why am I doing this? If you understand your why, you're going to fear, but do it anyways. Like I just jump, because once you jump at that point, there's no going back, because I mean, you're not just going to get, you're just not going to get stuck. You feel me? You're not going to just stay there. You're going to eventually try to stay afloat and swim. And so even though when I fear, if I think about it and it's the best option for me, just knowing that I just need to get over the fear, I just go and do it anyways. Because I know the outcome is going to benefit me and my family in the long run.
Yeah.
And I believe faith over fear, for sure. Faith is a huge piece of who I am and how I grew up. And it gives me hope for tomorrow and each and every day. And so when I'm the most fearful and most frustrated with myself, my decisions, with my value, or just not feeling like I have it together, I'm just faithful in what I know God still has for me and the love that I know He has for me when I don't deserve it. So again, faith over fear, I think is how you get through each and every day with those things that you struggle with.
And then for me, I agree, Jericho. Faith is one aspect, is having that spirituality, and then also too, I got to think, what's the worst that can happen? You don't want to live in regret, and so it's just like, at least try it. And you don't want to sit back and say, oh man, I should have did it. So I think for me, the biggest thing is having my faith, and let's say, what's the worst that can happen? And then you always got to remember God's testimony. And so there's so many testimonies that I'm grateful in my life. I got to look back and I was like, guess what, Andre? I was scared about that. Now look at you. So you have to go back to that one thing that God took you from. And that always can give me out of a place of fear, because I remember when I was at some fearful times in my life that He brought me out. So that really helps me grow. And when I'm feeling fearful.
Give up now.
Mine is the same as you, Andrea. I'm a very optimistic type of person. So I'm just like, what's the worst that can happen? Just go for it. And if all else fails, I just figure it out, pick up the pieces and figure it out how to do better.
Yeah, generally I have learned if I'm fearful, I'm on the right path. If I got a little scaredness going on, I'm on the right path.
That means you're growing.
Yes.
Exactly. So speaking of that, have you ever been afraid of actually accomplishing what you set out to achieve? That's one of the questions.
I'm reading a book about that right now. And it's the habits, high performance habits. I have to actually go back and look at the author, but as soon as I started reading it, I was like, oh yes, this is me. Cause it talks about reaching the next level and feeling like, okay, you're so afraid to go, step into that next success for yourself. Or again, like you mentioned, the imposter syndrome. How did I get this position? Do I deserve to be here? What do people think? But you really have to overcome all of that by just continuing to believe in yourself and develop your, your skills. I really truly believe that we have to be, I go back to this, lifelong learners. Never feel like we just have it all together. You have to continue to read, research. I think Andrea's been talking about that a lot, but just learning. And I mean, I want to go back to school right now. I'm like, Lord, when and how with 4 kids, but I just want to do that. Every time I learn more about different genres or career fields, I'm like, man, I want to learn how to do that. But I'm gonna stick to this one communications field, make sure I get real good at that.
Yeah, I love it. Anybody else want to share? Okay. So the next question is, do you experience resistance when you are leading men?
Can you repeat that? I didn't hear.
Sure. Do you experience resistance when you are leading men?
Oh, I need some tea now.
Mine may be watching, so I got to be careful. I got a large team.
For me, I think it's just making sure you know your voice. And someone spoke to it earlier. When you know what you know and know what you don't know, you can garner that respect. You can garner the same type of loyalty and them wanting to let you lead. You can do that when you fully understand who you are. And then if they don't want to listen, pick your battles, like Jerica said. Pick your battles. Who else?
But then, as the elders say, that you act like it's his idea. You ever heard of that saying?
Exactly.
So sometimes you have to lead in a different way. So you just have to be strategic.
Yeah.
And so, oh yeah, it was your idea, but it was yours. So sometimes you got to be okay with that, and you're still effectively leading the situation. And sometimes, as people get caught up in, I led it. I told you what to do. But, a lot of times just how women are, we're masterminds in the background and we running everything, the whole thing. But they think that a man might think that he's running it, but you planted a seed. So we won't put all the secrets out there, but yeah.
I like it though, Yeah, I like it though. It's being strategic and being okay, with what you know.
And even with the wolf pack, I looked at a graphic where it shows where, when you have a wolf pack out in the wilderness, the leader is actually in the back. He's not up front. He carrying the back and watching out for his family and his team. So a lot of times as women, we don't always have to be out in front. We can let the other folks feel like they're leading and we're in the back and we're carrying, our families, our teams at work or whatever that may look like. So I certainly agree, but sometimes it's about strategy and letting somebody else feel like they're the face of leadership. But
right. And understanding the bigger picture, keeping your eye on what the outcome is supposed to be and just strategically getting to that. If that means being forward or being backwards, that's okay. Or being in the background, that's okay. Yeah. Anybody else on leading men?
I don't have to deal with men in my industry. So. I'm lucky.
I think too, being in a trucking industry too, you still have to be, or a male dominated industry, you still have to be strategic in terms of when you're leading men, that you want to just be assertive and not like soft. And so I think that's the balance in terms of when you're leading individuals, especially as women leadership. You have to balance assertive or either being called the B word, or being bossy, and so all those different things. So you really have to kind of know who you're working with, really.
Right. So I guess the last question, because we're getting close to time, and this one should be a good juicy one, and I'm listening really closely on this one. Any relationship advice? I heard a couple married ladies on the call, some folks are dating. Any relationship advice for young women or women just waiting on their knight in shining armor to come?
I'm listening to y'all on this.
Okay. Well, I've gotten married. I'm married for 2 years, and someone will say, well, you got married late. I don't have any children yet. But I think, really just focus on yourself. And I didn't understand that concept at all, because I had a timeline. At this amount of time, I'm supposed to be married. And so then I got really sad about it, because everything, when you're looking for something, seem like everybody's married, everybody's this, everybody's having a baby, everyone's buying a house. So I really think that when you focus on yourself a little bit, I heard that before and I didn't really get it. I'm like, oh, you focus on yourself. Truly focus on yourself and don't worry about it. And because, you attract that energy. So the energy that you put out there, if you're going to say, oh, there's no good men out there, then guess what? There's going to be no good men out there. So you got to attract the energy that you want. And then also another thing too, I would say that it might be a different package than you may realize too. And so it starts a lot with friendships. And of course, everyone has a list, but you got to look at the character of that individual. Also, all those different aspects. So I think too, if you're dating or looking, you really need to look at the character of the individual, and God may be sending you in a different package. And so you're looking around, oh, there's no good guys, and the person could be right in front of you. And I think really building a friendship with people, especially now, I don't know, I think now, especially with COVID, I think it's probably a good thing, because you might have a lot of phone conversations now. Mm-hmm. And so, have a lot of phone calls, FaceTime them, look in the background, see what's going on in their house. Like, oh, what's going on? It's clean. So who's that? Who's that in the picture? Oh, your sister. Oh, okay. So I think that's one thing, aspect of things is really just don't worry about it. It sounds bad, but I was worried about it. I'm like, and so when I stopped worrying about it, I think things come together, and and then just have fun, and then keep yourself together. If you go to the grocery store, different places, still keep yourself cute. You never know who or where you're gonna meet someone. I mean, you still might have your mask, but keep your lashes and stuff good. But
that's all we have to do nowadays.
Yeah.
From the peak up. That's it.
Look, I got married really young. I married my high school sweetheart, my children's father, and I would just definitely suggest being equally yoked, right? And I talked about not trying to please everybody when you're young, and to Andrea's point, that timeline of feeling like you got to do everything based on one society and everybody else is telling you to do it. But certainly, I agree with the friendship aspect, and also just again finding a companion who is yoked with you, who sees life the way you do. Not necessarily y'all gonna agree on everything, but certainly finding someone who shares the same energy and chemistry, and just, again, faith being the most important.
I love it. So I took maybe half a page of notes on that one. I've been keeping a notebook. Y'all didn't know it, but keeping my notebook going. But this has been absolutely amazing, ladies. Thank each and every one of you for joining. I had no clue that we would, when you talk about success and adversity, like we talked about self, we talked about overcoming challenges, but the success part, we talked about relationships, jobs, personal growth, personal development, and then some. So this has been an amazing, amazing panel, and just thank you. And I know STS absolutely appreciates each and every one of you for joining. Before we sign off, if anyone maybe wasn't listening earlier, please go back and listen and connect with these ladies. They are a wealth of knowledge and resources. So please, tap into them and see what they have going on so you can continue to grow and create those connections. And I always also be a little remiss if I did not share a little bit on STS Enterprise Corporation. I know I've mentioned it tonight, but STS Enterprise Corporation is the premier leadership development program focused on middle and high school and then college level students throughout the Memphis area, Memphis and Shelby County. Each year, the exceptional organization reaches youth, young professionals, and even parents through their authenticity, their transformation, and excellence. And I proudly wear my lapel tonight as an executive board member with the organization. It's one of the best organizations I've ever decided to volunteer with. And I will continue for years to come, whether I'm in this capacity or not. So I encourage each of you that are listening, if you want to be able to support the organization, they've been around for close to 10 years now, and you want to become a partner in excellence, please visit their website. It's www.stsenterprise.org. It'll be in the chat. or come back and listen. And that's the good thing. This is going to be around. Everybody can come back and listen to all this good conversation, as well as be able to find that resource to connect with STS. So that's all I have. If you ladies could stay on just a moment, but we're going to disconnect. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us tonight. And I know STS has some other amazing programming coming your way. So stay tuned.
Thank you.